Three, two, one. What's up, world? It's your boy GM talking shift. Today I got a special guest, man. My boy Jules Dorado. We go way back, bro. Man, back in the days.
What's good? What's good?
Hey, man. Jules Dorado, hip hop artist,
Yes, sir.
wordsmith, just an overall dope, talented musician. Coming out of San Francisco. And for real, man, no lie, I go way back. It's crazy because we were talking about it before. It's been about over a decade probably since I seen you last.
Honestly, we was youngins.
We were little kids, man.
Like grown now.
trying to be, man.
Right.
But nah. Tell me, you know what? Before we jump into it, we were talking before about the songs.
Right.
Tell me about what were you saying about the songs though?
What?
About that like the whole process, right. About how
creating a song and
well, no. I mean, I don't know how much you want to throw out right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it's kind of abrupt, but no, like you were talking about how you wrote a song for somebody else.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we were just talking about so I got a song I'm working on, and it's called Ketchup. And this song is about reconnecting with somebody that you haven't seen in a while, and kind of like when the feeling is still there, but you don't, like, it's almost like you're just now realizing that it's still there. And, it came from, obviously, everything I write is inspired by my own life. Or I'm trying to tell somebody's story. And yeah, that's really where this song came from. And so to me, it had to be very it has to be very, because it's such a beautiful song and the record's got this great, heavy, shimmery, kind of filtered guitar. Shout out to Rare Bear. This dude's an incredible producer. But I felt for me, I've always wanted to branch out into writing different things. I grew up listening to Prince and shit like that, because that's my mom and pops
Charlie
are
just
diehard Prince.
Did you see the Prince book earlier?
Nah, I did.
Charlie got a dope ass Prince book.
Yo, this cover goes crazy.
Hey man, it was crazy. The first page I turned to, it was he was on Redwood Street in Corte Madera, which is, I don't know, I'm pretty sure that's right across the Golden Gate Bridge.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But nah, your mom and pops was you were inspired by Prince and
oh yeah, heavy. And Parliament Funkadelic, that was my pops, was huge for that. But I've always been listening to so many different types of music. I've had these waves in my life of just it's first I was listening when I first grew up. You just we all kind of just listen to whatever our parents put us on to first, then I get into middle school era, and that's where I'm okay, I'm just listening to whatever's kind of popular. High school comes, and I get some friends who kind of put me on to I start listening to classic rock and shit like that. And out off of that, and then Wayne was huge, obviously, when I was in high school, huge. It was nobody. I mean, it's arguably still nobody fucking with that man, but I'm a huge stan. And yeah, it just, you kind of try to pull all these different influences in, and just seeing cats today being able to do so many different genres and be so versatile. You got somebody like Tyler the Creator, who basically reinvented his entire sound, and does things that this song sounds completely 180 degrees different from this. Was an inspiration to me to be let's try something new. Let's try something different. So I might give this record to somebody else who can maybe sing it better than me. I'm practicing the vocals. We'll see if I pull it off, but it's going to be a duet. And I'll let y'all know who the feature is when I get that confirmed, because she's very talented. But
so, that whole process, right? What are you talking about in that song? You know what I mean? Because that's getting back with somebody from your past, man. I mean, it's a common theme, but it's definitely something that's going to give you a lot of inspiration to write about.
Right. And it's really just about trying to paint a picture, and that's really, I wanted to start from square one. So some of the very first words are kind of oh, I knew that was you. I know your walk. It's crazy to see you again. You know what I mean? When you referring to somebody in your head as you, that's almost very reserved for particularly special people that have touched our lives.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's just about, I named the song Ketchup, actually, because in my head and kind of where it was based off of was just like obviously we're catching up again. You're getting a cup of coffee or whatever it is. But I also imagine it kind of like you're sitting there. There's so much like energy and love and history between you, but physically, like the only thing really between you is like a bottle of ketchup on the table. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of supposed to be kind of the dual thing of like we're in this very normal kind of catching up casual situation, but there's so much more here, like that's kind of unspoken. It's
playing
just
on a lot of different themes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
this love is complicated, and rekindle love is a whole nother, like, that's crazy.
One thing that I love about your music is it's all very deep, which I mean, I love Bay Area music. We're not really known for always having the deepest music. You know what I mean?
We love the party.
And it's all love. That's no cap to none of the Bay Area, legends. But you got that, you got that Bay Area smoothness, and that kind of that Bay Area swag.
Right.
But you're very deep, man, and that's kind of, I guess that's kind of cliche or kind of corny. You know what I mean? But very well thought out, and it's very, it's very thoughtful. Tell me about that though. How did that style kind of come about?
Yeah. Man, I mean, obviously, like, my lingo and the way I carry myself is very Bay Area, I feel like. But I think I grew up like listening to so many of these like dope Bay Area artists, but I think the people I ended up being drawn to, the more I learned about music, at least for my particular style, was like, or stuff that spoke to me. Like, there's nothing that like gets to me more than like I hear a 16 that like gives me chills. Like, that's like, it's nothing that beats that. I think J. Cole got a line about like wanting to make songs that makes the hair on your arms raise. Like, that's to me is like the best possible feeling. Or I've had a couple people tell me like, yo, I listened to your shit and like I cried. And I'm like, there's no greater compliment to me than like that. So but honestly, it was never necessarily like an intention. It's more like I write these things because like we all like deal with our own shit, and I've been inside my own head for damn near my whole life. So for me, it's like I'm talking. People say like, "Oh, you spoke to me, and it was so inspirational." I was like, I'm just trying to inspire myself. Like, I'm talking to myself when I write this. I'm like, trying to give myself a pep talk, or trying to
100%
work through the feelings, because I'm not always great at like talking it out for real. So music is my way to do that.
Yeah. I mean, and this is going to be a super, super, super tangent, but I don't even remember what movie I watched last night, but it had to deal with conscious. It was Chappie. I watched Chappie. I don't remember if you ever watched
like
Chappie.
A robot.
Yeah. But they're talking about consciousness a lot, and that's been something that kind of fascinates me. You know what I mean? And you were talking about you've been in your head and just I don't know if you watched Chappie at all, but what do you think is that consciousness is? Because the people that are creative, you know what I mean, they tend to be kind of in their heads as it is,
right?
You know what I mean, and that creativity manifests all in the brain, you know what I mean. It's just a weird thought about consciousness, you know what I mean, like,
right.
Without getting too like into religion or anything, what do you think about that? Like, some people would even say that we might just be in like an AI,
right?
We're just a simulation,
real time.
There's so many different crazy theories and things like that, but
nah, I feel that.
I mean, UC Santa Cruz, you can get a degree in the study of consciousness now.
That's
so
trip.
like
That's
I was
trip.
just like, wow,
it makes sense though. I see the demand for it. Like, that's,
yeah,
we're all, I feel like humans, we're always like constantly trying to learn about ourselves and our environment. I mean, we over here trying to find answers about if there's life out there and all this shit. We barely understand the life here. Like, you know what I mean? We barely know how we work, especially like the brain. That's why like mental health and shit like that is only now starting to become a priority, because we didn't realize. We're like, oh shit, it's 2019. Maybe we should like start listening to people when they say they don't feel right. Like, you know what I mean? And things that you can't visibly see are like can still be affecting people. So
you delve into some of that in your music too.
Right, yeah.
I mean, you had the anxiety song.
Right.
That one was a hot one.
Yeah, that was the entire point of that record.
How has mental health and that it affected your consciousness, and how has that affected your music?
Right, it's huge, man. It's everything. I think now is a time more than ever, at least in like American history, where it's like, man, I'm trying to like, we're all trying to like feel a little bit less alone. Social media has kind of helped that in some ways,
and not,
and gone the opposite way, right? Sometimes you feel a little bit isolated, but no, I think more than anything, like we need to talk about it because people need to know that they're not like alone, that they're not like,
100%.
it something about just hearing somebody else be like tell their story and being like, yo, that's me. Like it triggers something in us where we feel better about it, and like you're like, well, if they can, if this person's going through it and they could be doing art or creating or just living and thriving at all, like maybe I can too. That to me that's why I talk about the things that I do.
Yeah. Do you think that struggle kind of has helped form that creativity, or like, because a lot of the people that create like the most impressive art come out of like the worst situations a lot of times.
It's real talk.
You know what I mean? Like it seems like the struggle kind of just pressure builds diamond, or pressure makes diamonds. You know what I mean?
That's real talk.
But how do you feel about that, man?
Nah, that's everything. And I think like understanding that like everybody's struggle doesn't look the same. You know what I mean? We got people that are coming out of these like crazy violent environments, where, and just at these like socioeconomic like disadvantages from birth, or just being judged straight off the color of your skin. And like, like I think now we're in a place in hip hop specifically where like there's room for everybody's story and everybody's struggle matters. And you got people speaking out about being like going through LGBT shit, like, and you got people just speaking out about like mental health or whatever it is that you're going through. Like, I feel like there's a space for you to like talk about it now. And like, that's why I feel like we live in almost the golden age of hip hop, even though I know we all consider the 90s the golden age, but I feel like there's more room for everybody now than there ever has been.
Yeah. It's a lot more inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even like maybe 5 years ago, like homosexuality wasn't alright in hip hop.
Nah,
you know what
it
I mean?
really
like,
wasn't.
It was like, nah, that shit ain't coming over here.
Right. No, you couldn't do it. Like, and you, even like women in hip hop, there was such a like, you couldn't like make noise if you weren't like overly sexualized. You know what I mean? You could, like, there was a place.
Like the Brat wasn't really getting as much shine as Lil Kim.
Right.
You know?
And now it's like, I think it's because we have this industry that tells us like, and this machine that tells us this is what people want. But it's like, don't tell me what I want. I know what the fuck I want. So now that like we can get our art out there with SoundCloud and everybody has their own like ways, social media, to get their own shit out. Now you don't need anybody else to tell you who your fan base is supposed to be or what sells and what doesn't. You get it out. And the people, if as fans and as consumers, we can go get the music ourselves. And I'm like, no, I fuck with this because I fuck with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like, well, if it wasn't on the radio, you never gonna hear it.
For sure. And you've been consistent with putting stuff out. Like you ain't, you know what I mean?
Trying to be. 2019 has definitely been a big jump, I feel like, from previous years.
Yeah. So how did you like? Because when I was messing with you when we were younger, I don't remember you doing the music thing. Like, I don't remember you ever like writing, talking about music. Not that it took me by surprise. It doesn't ever take me by surprise when I see that somebody wants to, start dabbling in hip hop, especially.
Mm-hmm. Right.
A lot of people think like, oh, it's hip hop. It's just talking. Like, it's so easy, right? But it's still music. You still got to be a musician. Like, yeah.
I mean, there's a reason it's damn near like the most popular genre on the planet right now. Is that like it speaks to people. Like people, you know what I mean? It's, you're gonna tell billions of people around the world that they all wrong and what they listen to is not music. Like, okay,
that don't work.
I feel like you sound a little outdated. You know what I mean? But no,
you like a beeper.
Right, exactly. Like, come on now, like we're not with that no more.
Yeah,
you need to open up your eyes. I think even within hip hop, there's a little bit of like a stigma, and there's kind of a war going on between the older generation and the younger generation. That's not rap, or this not rap, or whatever. And it's like
100%. Yeah, I see that.
You wouldn't go to, you won't listen to punk rock and then be like, this is the shittiest metal I've ever heard. It was like, well, no shit, it's not metal, it's punk rock. You know what I mean? It's because there's the umbrella of rock, and there's all these little subcategories and ways people spun off of it. So it's like, why can't we do the same thing with hip hop? Why can't Juice WRLD exist in the same world that J. Cole exists in? Like, why not?
Hey, I just like within the podcast world, like, it's super competitive. Mm-hmm. I'd say it's saturated even.
Yep.
But like what? Like, we can't express our talents. You know what I mean? What? Like, there's more is better.
Right.
And then you know what? Time will filter out the bullshit.
Thank you.
Straight up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, the people are always going to choose what the fuck they want to hear.
Right.
And if they're hearing you, makes sense, you know? And if they're not, that makes sense too. Like,
right. Every once in a while, you have these, like, you know, quote unquote kind of trash artists who break through, but they don't stay. You know what I mean? And if it's something genuine and has a real connection, it's authentic, like, it'll stick around and people will fuck with it.
Yeah. So tell me, man, like, what's the genesis? Like, how did you get into starting to write or starting to want to do music?
Right. I think, I mean, I was always, like, you know, super hip hop head, but I think the beginning of it was probably when I was in high school. There was this this program called, it was like an after, we had basically had to take an internship where you had to kind of pick a little like thing to do, and I listened to a lot of rap, and there was a program called Out of Sight. I think it was at like John O'Connell High School, and you would go there after school and they would teach you, you know, just different things about like how the recording process goes and how to write a song and structure of verses and things like that. And you know, I was just doing it with my friends, and we would just, you know, go get high in the woods and then go, you know, go in there and just bullshit. Yeah. And you know, it was fun, but what started happening was, like, first of all, like, I started to really like enjoy it. And I'm like, yo, this right. I was doing it after I leave the program. I was still writing. And the other thing was, like, everybody in class was like, bro, like, you kind of snapping like every time you do this. And I was like, maybe I'm kind of good at this, you know? You know, I don't think I recognized the blessing for what it was or how important it was eventually going to be to me. But I just knew from there, I was like, okay, like, let's keep doing this. I like doing this rap shit. It's just always been for fun, you know?
Yeah.
I met actually a mutual homie of ours, as we go way back, Cody. He produces beats.
From KMAC?
Yes, from KMAC.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, we go way back on some Taekwondo shit. We used to do that as kids. So one of our kind of like coaches, older mentors, he does beats and shit like that. So early on, me and Ma Rain, shout out Ma Rain, one of my best friend and one of my co-collaborators consistently, we would always go to, he had like a little studio kind of rental spot. So we would just go there and just like fuck around till like 3 or 4 in the morning, and just try to make records just cause, you know. I don't think it's really been until the last couple years where I'm like starting to understand, like, okay, well, like, how amazing would it be if I could really do this for like a living, you know what I mean? I started realizing, like, nah, there's not really anything else. Like, I tried going to school and like doing things a little bit more like inside certain boxes, and it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes it just takes getting older for you to kind of like look at how far you've come and what you really want in your life. And that's what kind of got me to where I'm at now, where I'm like, okay, like, let's do this.
Yeah. So what projects are you working on right now?
Sonic Cultura is going to be my next tape. It's entirely produced by my boy Khalil. Big shouts to Khalil. This man is like, if y'all don't know him now, like, you're going to know about him by the time this is over, because this dude is like a genius, honestly. And so that'll be dropping sometime next year. But in the meantime, everything I'm on is right now I want to collab. I'm trying to work with as many people as possible. There's so much talent in the Bay right now. Like, I feel like it's a very, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm very, you know, my generation's the best type, but like right now, everybody that's out right now, there's so many cats that I just want to work with, and that have great projects out and are doing just great things in music. And so my only goal right now is just like, let me just work with as many people as possible and just get singles out, build my name up a little bit, and get to fuck with some really dope artists at the same time. And, you know, make sure I can really capitalize. When I release this project, I want to be at a place where I feel like I can get it to as many ears as possible, because I truly believe it's something special. You know,
you're only like 30 minutes away, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even then, the music scene in San Francisco and the music scene down here, River City, East Palo Alto, is, you know, way different, right? Like, we don't have local venues where the kids is able to go see, you know, things like that. There's a couple little youth centers where they have like a little hip hop program, but like nothing too serious. Like, I really feel like if they had some like some programs for these kids, man, you'd be amazed at the talent that comes out. You know what I mean? You got some kids that they could just spit, just
Right.
natural. You got kids that for whatever reason can pick up a laptop. They could pick up a freaking an iPad and just in a day just be like, oh, I made these beats. Like, there's all this talent that if you nurture it, man, like it's amazing what can happen. And it's beautiful that they had that program that you know what I mean, that you were able to go to.
Right. It's
Yeah,
also
man.
shout out DJ Project. That's another place I went through. That was a really Carice Joubert, Town Futurist, was a really great mentor for me. And you're right, there is a lot of things like that in the city. They're kind of drying up a little bit with the way gentrification and the way the city's going. I know we all know that story, but I really feel like the best place.
Same out here,
Yeah,
man.
no,
I feel
it's a
like
Bay
we're
Area
getting
thing.
pushed out of our own place. Generations have been here, man. It's unfortunate.
Right. I think the most special place in the Bay, though, by far, like a mecca for hip hop, or at least that where the presence is still there, and they're still going through gentrification too, is Oakland. Like the town is just different. And the more I've entrenched myself in the scene and like going to shows and meeting people and doing all this, it just feels like every week now I'm in Oakland. Like that's
just where it's at.
That's just where it's at. The city, there's not as much of that, and other places have like pockets, like you said. Even out here, it's not like a super variety of places to go. But Oakland, it's like every night there's something for organic, independent music, and arts, and just,
what are some dope spots out there?
Oh man, Blue Dream has been getting a lot of stuff put on there lately.
Not a big fan of sativas personally.
Yeah. Honestly, I used to roast Blue Dream back in the day. I think it was for some reason, it was like a good 6-7 months in high school where like every fucking plug had Blue Dream.
Oh, for sure.
And me and the squad was like,
you know why?
Because
that shit grows.
Blue Dream again. Like
that shit is old faithful, bro. That shit, you plant that shit, that's coming through, bro.
Yeah,
Heavy.
Okay, so
it's an easy grow.
Thing. That makes sense. All I know is I was tired of that shit. I was like, no more Blue Dream.
Yeah. I'm with that. So what are some other dope local spots? Because I've been to what is it? There's like a spot up there. I forget. Somebody talked about it on one of the past episodes. There's like they got like 2 or 3 levels even. I don't remember what that was.
That's Complex.
I think it was.
Complex is
I think
interesting.
it is.
I have mixed feelings on that place. There's some. Again, more I get into the industry a little bit, you kind of meet some of these people and realize everybody ain't for you like that. And I think Complex is a dope venue in and of itself. That's like, there's no doubt about that. I love the multiple levels. I love it feeling like it's a club here and then it gets real artsy over here. But I think there's some of the promoters that work with them kind of have some very predatory practices, and they kind of prey on young artists who don't know a lot, and they kind of make promises like you'll open up for a cat, right? Like I think I opened for Nicotina like twice now, and that feels like it should be a big deal, but the way it ends up happening is it's like you and like 8 other openers. You don't know that your music is going to connect with these people who came to see like Nicotina. A lot of those people aren't even going to be there till later anyways, and they kind of promise you, oh, you get to open for Andre Nicotina or whoever it is, and it's going to be a packed house and whoop-de-whoop. But like
it's packed when Nicotina there,
right? And you have to basically like buy it. They say it's not pay to play, but it kind of in a roundabout way is. You basically buy these tickets, these ticket bundles, and you have to get off a certain amount to kind of make your money back, and then they say like the rest is profit. But it's like, as a young artist, like it's just hard to get that much stuff off. Like for these, and tickets will be like way more expensive than like you would expect for I understand. Yeah, exactly. For a local artist, like I understand like my brand value is not at that level. Like I believe in my music, but I don't think from the like where my brand is built up to that I can like justify charging a ridiculous amount to get in the door for me. So like I get that, and it just seems that place is a little weird. But I'm more drawn to like some of the organically like they're for the art, they're for the culture type places. Sultry Alchemy, I just did a show there. Shout out to Majestic June for her video release. And like it almost felt like a living room, but like a venue at the same time, and you just had all these like vendors with all these like healthy kind of spiritual type things going on, and then just like dope music and like just good energy. When you feel like it's all love in the building, like that's the type of venues I like to be at.
You said, I just wanted to touch on this, you said kind of like pay to play, right? my brother, he's an MMA fighter, and it's kind of along the same lines. Like they'll let anybody. Well, no, I don't want to say it like that. They'll let you fight. You got to sell these tickets, right? He's blessed that we have a really big network, so he's able to like really shine out there. But it is kind of in essence the same type of deal. Like it seems like maybe that's entertainment. It is kind of like a pay to play type of thing until a certain level. You know what I mean?
Right. I think there's a way, like, you know, and not to like shit all over that process, because I do think that there are like certain instances where if you think the person you're opening for, you kind of like your music overlaps with theirs to the extent that like their fans would actually fuck with what you do, then I think there is some value in that. And if you think it's at a convenient enough time or a convenient enough location where you feel like I can really get people to come out, I have enough time to like mobilize people, and then there's opportunities. Or if you just dropped a project and you're trying to drive traffic to that project, then doing one of those shows like shortly after can be very beneficial. So I think if you're strategic about it, that there is value in like that kind of system. But you got to be real smart. You can't just take all the offers, because they're the people who are offering this to you, like they don't have that in mind. Like they're just trying to get paid. Like that's really what it is. Like they get bank off you like buying these tickets from them. So
yeah.
And they don't give a damn how many people show up for you. You know what I mean? It's like once they sell you them tickets, like that's it. They're like, cool, my job is done. That's in my pocket. Like if you sell 5 of them shits, that's on you. Like, so, no, I definitely think there's value in it. Just, you know, you gotta be smart.
Yeah. So what do you think I mean, there's many different ways to get into this industry, a lot of different entertainment industries, right? I don't want you to be like have to put your business plan out there, but like if you were speaking to like a younger audience, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think the best way to kind of start getting into hip hop if they feel like in their heart like this is what they're meant to do? You know what I mean?
Right.
What do you think? Like with just with the state of how music is, how it's consumed, you know, keeping that in mind, how do you think like they should come out?
No, man, lucky. I mean, this generation is so lucky because they can do it themselves. Like it's there. All the tools you need are there. You know.
You didn't have to sit there out the trunk with it.
Right. No, you don't. You really don't. You know, just like I think recognizing the first thing you want to do is like, you know, recognize what are my resources around me. Like look around you. I know everybody is like, man, I hate. You know, there's I've heard people from, you know, that small town in Colorado be like, man, there's no scene in my city. It's like, okay, then go make the scene. Go be the scene. Like somebody got to do it. So whether it's, you know, as far as like getting music made, like figure out a setup, go to any show anywhere and go talk to people that are making music. Be like, yo, where do you rap at? Or, you know, save up your change and build yourself a studio in your room or out the closet, or like there's a million different ways to do it. And you can, that's what like YouTube, where again, there's just so much free game and free information out there for you. Like go learn, go type in the keywords, how to make studio. I mean, it's really all it takes. And from there, like you just start putting stuff together, you know. Bryson Tiller like blew off of some shit that he did in like a closet studio. You know what I mean? Like
I'm almost certain he got that beat off of SoundClick.
I believe
I'm almost certain because there was 2 other dudes that had that same beat, and I'm pretty sure they bought it legally, and that's why they were able to keep that out.
Right, well, because you can lease it. You can lease beats, and multiple people can like have the beat, and you know the producers will charge more for an exclusive for it, which is like rightfully so. But no, if you believe in it enough, and also like just utilize this social media shit. Make sure if you're posting, like get your hashtags in there, man. You know, it's gonna be slow. It's gonna be like drops in a bucket, but that shit starts to build up, and you start being like,
it's all consistency.
Yeah, exactly. Just be consistent about it, and I think more than anything, be authentic to yourself. People can tell when you're not doing you, like when you're doing something different, like you know, like that, where you're doing something that's not you. People can see right through that shit. Like they can feel it. And you know, I was telling you this earlier, but like holding yourself to a higher standard, like don't compare yourself to your neighbor, like compare yourself to your idols. Look at what they do and go like, all right, well, like if you really love, you know, a Kendrick Lamar or Lil Uzi Vert, go listen to a Lil Uzi song and make notes. What parts? What do I like about this? Like really sit and listen to it. Like
You got to be a student of the game.
right, learn from the people that you look up to. And you're always gonna when you first start out. I feel like everybody kind of sounds like the people that they're influenced by early on. I think this Eminem's
that,
like
I don't
famously. People were his early shit. Everybody was like, "Oh, he was biting, he was riding Nas's dick." Like when he first came out, it's like, of course you're gonna sound like that, Early Kendrick sounded hella like Lil Wayne. Like that's just gonna happen. And what happens over time is that all these influences on you like start to blend together, and then your voice comes through that, and it ends up being something special and unique.
Yeah,
I think if you embrace that and don't run from it, or don't be too hard on yourself, I think good things will happen.
And that's the thing about artists and that's the thing about people. Over time, we grow, we change, we learn, we go through all these different processes, and we go through also these different emotions. You know what I mean? And obviously, like we were talking about, like for me, from podcast 1 to now, I feel like just in that couple in that month or two, however long, I feel like I've grown exponentially, right?
Right.
Like, how do you feel like you've grown? Like, obviously, like you've got better, right? But like, what do you think? How have you grown? How have you changed? How have you adapted?
I think one thing is, as you grow as a person, your values sort of, I don't want to say they change. You can still have a core of who you are, but you start to understand, I think, yourself better and what your strengths are, what your flaws are. And for my music in particular, just because it's like, it's very vulnerable and like self-reflective. I think the more shit I go through and the things I've been through, I'm starting to like understand like, why this happened the way it did and how it affected me. And then I can use that to talk about it. So when you listen to records now that I made versus things I made like years ago, I think they're more in depth. People tell me like, "Oh man, like you're wise beyond your years." Like I'm not wise beyond my years. Like I just been through some shit. Like and I learned from it. You know what I mean? I took notes on my L's. So like I think that's like the really, as far as like my personal growth and it being like step in step with my musical growth has been that. But also just like I was saying, studying the greats. Before I go in the studio and my idea is like, well, let me lay down my 16, my hook, couple ad libs here and there, and boom, like that's the song. And now it's like, especially because the genre has grown so big, what's that cold shit back when you could get a platinum plaque without no melody, like that was some real shit, like where you really only had to have these kind of very basic things. And like I think you can still do that if that's you, but and I always got to be authentic to whatever you want to sound like. But I'm starting to get more idea of like, okay, well, like let me add some harmonies in the back here, or add a little this, a little that, and just try to like, don't make the song feel less boring. I think for me, the one thing I always like, people who work with me in the studio are probably tired of hearing this shit, but I'm like, yo, we need drama. Like I want to feel some drama in this song, like where it builds up, where it feels like, okay, we're going towards something, and you hit this like, aha moment where you're like, damn, like the feeling we were building towards breaks through, for all the bullshit he be on, Kanye is very good at that, at building drama within a song. So that's like,
he's good at building drama and everything.
Yeah, honestly, that's a good point. That man is just drama walking, like personified. That's probably why it comes through so well in the music. But yeah,
that boy going off. Have you heard? Did you hear any of his like did he drop a new album?
Yeah, he dropped. God is good.
Jesus is King.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
I heard a little bit of it. Yeah, it was.
I didn't hear none of it.
It was weird.
It was weird.
It was weird. I mean, I love like, like Chance did like a gospel-y album, and there's some Christian rappers out there that are really dope, but I think that album felt like a very, I don't know, it just felt a little detached. Like, it's like, this is a rich man, like on some like evangelical, like, I'm just like, and the crazy thing is like, I heard this man in Jesus Walks like talk about being a flawed human and like his relationship in God in that like lens, and like that was special. And when you feel like, it's like, it just felt like musically it was the sound of them same preachers like who ask for hella money and are dressed in like fucking $1,000 suits, and on some living in big ass houses and fancy cars and all that shit. Like, it felt like that type of Christian, not genuine spirituality. You know what I mean? Like, and so I don't know. It wasn't. Some of the beats was fire.
that's always the thing that kind of like rubbed me the wrong way about religion is it's, you know, they always want that paper from you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's a fact. That's a fact.
But you know, did you? I watched this documentary about I can't for the life of me remember the name of it. But what they do is they pick a song from hip hop and they explore that whole song. And the first episode of this series was Jesus Walks. Did you see that one?
I have not.
Oh man, you got to see that. And they break down like
sound dope.
They break down how this whole song came about, and it actually was supposed to be Rhyme Fest. Rhyme Fest found the Rhyme Fest found the original song and was like, bruh, Kanye, I got this song, I got this sample, bruh. He's like, you're the only one that can make this happen. And what's crazy about it is Rhyme Fest sent him that sample, right? Kanye did what Kanye do with the beat, and Kanye hit Rhyme Fest back up and was like, okay, bruh, check this out. I love you. He goes, here's the deal. This is my song. I'm going to give you credits for it. You can help me write on it, but like, I got to keep this beat. But I mean, and then like, that was how it started. You know what I mean? And what was crazy is the choir that actually does that song. It was from, I believe, New York, and it was a group. The whole choir was all recovering addicts, and it was like a Christian, like kind of rehabilitation type of thing, and you know,
crazy.
So most of the people that was singing in that was actually going through some shit when they were singing that, and you could feel it,
right?
You could feel it in your bones. You know what I mean?
That's a trip.
You know, I gotta say, everything that Kanye's doing, I really don't pay attention. I kind of just, I don't know. I don't even know what I've been doing with Kanye West, really. But I gotta say that College Dropout, for me, might be the most complete hip-hop album ever. Front to back, like...
that's tops for me. It's very hard to do better than that. And I think sometimes what's kind of slept on is like the doors that Ye kicked down. Like I mentioned how I feel like we're in this golden era where everyone can kind of be themselves and just be you in hip hop, and that's cool. And you ain't got to be like a gangster to do this shit. But
with the polos,
Ye started that. Like Ye really kicked the door down.
Rappers.
You know, nobody wanted Ye to like rap. Like everybody's like, nah, keep making beats. Like don't
shut
don't
up.
Rap. Like,
yeah, give me a beat.
You ain't in the streets. You ain't no hustler. So like, don't try to come rap. This ain't your place.
Get back on the porch.
Right. And he kicked right though. But the man to his credit, like he didn't take no for an answer, and he dropped one of the greatest albums of all time. And immediately after that, it was like, oh shit, you could just be you. Like you could just be. I mean, he was speaking for the average person. The average person could relate to most of the shit that he was talking about. Nobody was talking about being, afraid of consumerism and shit like that, and being self-conscious,
or wanting to beat the shit out of your manager. The
right,
Gap.
Right. You know what I mean? Like people wasn't talking about it. It was either flexing or like some street shit. So. I'm grateful for Ye. I feel like I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing if it wasn't for Ye, and a lot of us, owe him.
Yeah. I mean, he. I think maybe he single-handedly made it okay to just be you.
Mm-hmm.
But what's crazy though? Thinking back, this thought just came to me right now. This motherfucker is the same dude that said George Bush does not care about black people. Is the same dude that's hugged up with Donald Trump, and that's another route that I don't go on. Like. I mean, shit. The country kind of like they got this motherfucker in and whatever. I don't even like I said, I don't really talk about politics like that. But damn, that's just crazy that Kanye West,
right.
The genesis and or not the genesis, but like the change that he's had over time. Like that's
right.
That's
no,
weird.
I know we was talking about mental illness, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like I really know what's going on in that man's life or his head like that. But
yeah.
He hasn't been shy about some of the things he's been through as far as the mental illness side. So. I don't know. I'm just like, I hope that man figures it out, because I feel like he was such a leader for the community, for black folks in general, and just everybody. And to go from one of those shining kind of like lights in music and entertainment and being so real to whatever he kind of is now is just, it hurts to see. I think a lot of us feel betrayed by some of the shit that Ye's done. So
or said.
Yeah, exactly. So I just, I don't know. I wish him the best. I hope that man get his life together, because I feel like we need that dropout Ye more than ever right now. You know what I mean? I'm not even talking about music, but just like the presence,
Mental illness is a motherfucker, man.
It is.
Shit, man. That shit is, I've had I've had family struggle with it. I've had, I've had family like deal with suicide even, you know what I mean? So it's crazy because that shit is probably what gives him his creativity to some degree.
Right. You wonder like how much of that, I think we're,
or you would think, I'm just, guessing here, but I feel like
right. No, I think it's sort of a slippery slope. I think we talk about that a lot with creators where we're always like, well, yeah, like, they were better when they were on the drugs, or he was better when he was like wilding or whatever. And I mean, maybe there's some truth to that. I can't say for sure, but I think like, I don't know, just now I would be hesitant to want to throw a broad stroke on some shit like that, just because I'm like, you kind of like scared of the message that it sends. I feel like there's been Ye talked about being bipolar and said it was like a superpower, and like, maybe there is some like truth to that for his experience, but like at the same time, it's like, man, like from what I know about like bipolar disorder, like that shit is a motherfucker and like wrecks people's lives. And like a lot of people do need medication to be like a functioning person, like, or counseling or something. So I think the goal should be to try to not lose the essence of who you are, but still be able to like keep your issues in check on a level. I think that's the goal we should all like aspire to, because like you said, mental health, that shit touches everybody's life. I'm just grateful we live in a time where it's like we're finally starting to talk about it. I've been telling like my fam and my like people I kick it with, like we've been talking about this shit, and we're just like, we talked about homophobia in hip hop and how like we don't like that shit is like shit you could say years ago you can't say anymore. Yeah. And that's just like a reflection of greater society and cancel / call out culture or whatever, where we're like, nah, we were not accepting that. Just because it was cool before, it doesn't mean it should be cool now. Yeah. And I'm like, I had this like theory that like one day, I don't know if it's gonna be in our lifetime or like our kids or grandkids' lifetime, if the world is still around then. But I feel like the word crazy is gonna be considered a slur one day. Like, Mark, y'all heard it first. Watch, I'm gonna be the first. I predicted that shit. Like, you're not gonna be able to say crazy no more, because it's like, nah, we don't say that. Like, people got their own individual issues. So I'm not saying I like am personally offended by the word or anything, but I just feel like one day that's like not gonna be cool.
So many different just words are starting to become like taboo. You know what I mean? That it's kind of, on one hand, like that PC kind of culture is like annoying, but to a certain level, we kind of need it too. Right. But it's a weird tightrope. It's a weird fine line. You know what I mean? And
like, we got to be accountable. We got to. It's a good thing to be accountable. It's a good thing that we're trying to grow and improve on the sins of our fathers, quote unquote. But I think like there is definitely like a little bit of like, there's times where we go too far. Certain spaces have to be an arena to, like, I've always thought one of the greatest like spaces in all of like our society to really flesh out like the shit that our cultures can't talk about, the things that we go through but people can't always like articulate, is stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy to me like has to be one of those kind of like safe spaces to speak on shit and say shit that's like a little out there, but like that's it. A lot of times that's how we deal with shit that's kind of dark, by laughing about it, but at the end you're like, yo, damn, that was real as fuck. And so there definitely has to be that, like you said, that fine line.
And people are trying so hard to even kind of censor what they say. It's crazy. Like in my life, so many things, whether it's like through legal ways or just through societal ways, they want to like regulate everything. You know what I mean? Down to like how we speak now. I don't know. I've always been kind of like an against the grain type of guy. Like whenever they want to like, or not, when I say they, I'm just saying like just anything. Like when I was younger, if anybody wanted to give me rules, I wanted to find a way to either break them or bend them or go around them, but I don't know. It seems like society kind of self-imposing its own kind of regulations on itself, and it's kind of, you could see it almost in like social media, right? You know what I mean? How we interact on that, how everybody wants to point the fingers without actually like reading the story. They'll look at the headline, but they won't actually dive deep. You know what I mean? Right. And context is important.
Right. Exactly. That's everything. And I think like the dangerous, the part where like I'm all for like let's think a little bit before we start saying shit. Like what do we do before that's maybe shouldn't be okay now? Like I'm all for that, but there also has to be a time where like sometimes it feels very disingenuous, like when somebody like Disney is trying to censor shit or do things in a certain way where it's like, well, it's like that's not really a problem. You're just like trying to protect your dollars. And I think there's a quote out there that the CEO, funny enough, CEO from like WWE said it was like philanthropy is the future of marketing. And I'm like, if that ain't the most like low key awful shit like I ever heard, you know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, that's a good thing. Like I'm glad you're being philanthropic, but if you're doing it for the wrong reasons,
he's doing it for tax breaks.
Right, that's when you're exactly, and that's when you're gonna run into shit where you can like nobody needed to censor that, or like the context of that is important, and like we need to like look at these real issues that we deal with and talk about them in like a raw, uncensored way.
Yeah.
Like to learn from it. How are we supposed to learn if you just be like, oh no, cover that up. Like let's not talk about it. Okay, well then it's not a problem. And like if we act like it's not a problem, then how are people who are uneducated on shit supposed to fucking learn? You know?
Well, speaking about talking about things, I got something that I want to talk about because you actually just touched on it, and it's really important. It's extremely important. You, as long as I've known you, have always really liked wrestling.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
And I have never understood it. So you got to break down for me, bro. What is it about wrestling that people like? I got so many cousins that love this shit. You know what I mean? Like younger ones. Like, yeah, I need to know.
Just because as wrestling fans, we're almost like
misunderstood.
Yeah, and we're like embarrassed, but at the same time, it's like we feel like we shouldn't be embarrassed. Like, because it's like it's so unique. It's like it's theater and art and like sports at the same time, and violence exactly at the same time. And I mean, what do we all of those things are like huge American obsessions. So like for me, like it's always been like, you can see just things like the connection between the performers in the ring and the people outside of it is just like no other sport or art really is as dependent on audience participation and connection like wrestling is. Like if you go to a play, sometimes they'll have the like call and response things, but for the most part, like you're not going to navigate like who the star of the play is. But wrestling, when it's good, that's like the key thing, because a lot of times it's not written very well, but when it's written well, it's amazing. But when it's good, it's very organic, where like people who have genuine charisma, like the fans respond to that really well. And it's like, you hear a million people say like the biggest criticism is always like, it's fake, right? It's like, oh, duh, no shit. Like, but it's like, that like the Law and Order is fake too, but you still watch that shit. Like, there's like this weird assumption that it's like, oh, because it's like filmed live in front of an audience and shit like that, that like we're all just these fucking idiots who like think it's like this like real sport. Like, no, we know it's a performance, but at the same time, it's like
you're here for the performance,
right?
Though.
And if you want to call that shit fake, like go wrestle one match and do the shit that these dudes do. Like, you wouldn't survive. Like, they're basically...
Oh, they're fucking animals.
They're professionals.
Those dudes' athleticism is crazy.
Stuntmen. Like, that's really what they are. Like,
do you know Ezekiel Jackson? Do you remember Ezekiel Jackson?
The name is hella familiar. You're ringing a bell.
Huge black dude. This is my guy, though. I used to work with him. He's he was doing some like training, but no, he was a WWE guy. He was a family friend too.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, Ezekiel Jackson, but no. So, but here's what I want to know though, because you're a martial artist, right? So
loosely, yeah.
So you're like kinda, I guess. So as coming from like the martial arts world, right, where that shit is real,
right?
You know what I mean? How are you still able to like be? You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure it out.
I feel it. It's just I think what a lot of people consider great, and what do we love about sports, right? What are our favorite moments? What are the games?
Like the drama,
right? Like that's the shit that we remember. We remember those fights where it's like, yo, old boy got his ass whooped for 3 rounds and came with this crazy uppercut at the last second and won. That shit is way more memorable than like you're kind of like by the book sort of thing. Yeah. The problem is real life is hard to script like that. You can't, like, those Cinderella stories come every once in a while.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's scripted, you get to still feel some of that physicality because of the stunts and the things that these dudes are doing in the ring, but you can build these stories around people, and it's just, great stories are just reflections of who we are, like, and that is something that always like has drawn me to it.
So, do you know do you know the history of like how the wrestling first came about?
I mean, the most I know is like, I mean, I know like we go way back, and there's like Greeks and Romans was like doing that.
Oh
shit,
yeah,
like,
for
tossing
sure.
each other. But no, the theatrical aspect, I'm not 100% sure.
So this is crazy. So before there was like pro wrestling as we know it today, there was traveling wrestling shows, and these giant dudes would actually go in the ring and wrestle each other. They were tired of doing that shit and getting hurt all the time. And they were like, you know what? Here, check this out, bro. I'm going to let you in tonight. But all the shit that you're doing where I'm getting hurt, we're not going to be doing that. And then they started, playing it up. And, it slowly kind of turned into what it is today. From those, kind of circus tent wrestling shows into WWE. Like, I mean, they're huge.
Right.
They're a mega brand.
Right. No, massive, too big. What some would say. Us real wrestling fans. We have issues.
So I got another homie who's really into wrestling too, and he's into this thing like I think it's called like New Japan Wrestling or something.
Yeah, that's a whole nother beast. Right
What's
there.
that? What's that about?
It's a Japanese company, and I think what sort of makes them special is the things you get to see in the ring are just like next level. I think WWE is they're such a big brand that they're very protective of their brand. They have a very like designated demographic they want to go after. They don't like people taking some unnecessary risks. They got hit with a few lawsuits over the years, so I guess I like low-key understand it. But sometimes they sabotage themselves. There's a famous quote, I think it's CM Punk, says Vince McMahon is a millionaire that should be a billionaire. Because there's just like
throwing shots.
They've like missed a lot of opportunities to kind of like, again, when it comes to wrestling, like listening to your fan base is so crucial. Like if the fans don't enjoy the person, like then it's not gonna, like we wouldn't have, a perfect example is The Rock, right? Biggest wrestler of all time, one of the biggest stars in the fucking planet. That dude, when he first came out, he was just like smiley, like happy dude, you know what I mean? And
then he turned heel,
and he was this whole like, he's just like the smiley like pride of Samoa, but it was boring and nobody like cared about that. So he kind of turned, he started talking shit, wearing these like crazy like Rolexes and shit like that, and people was like, yo, that's, what I mean, when people boot a good guy, that's when you got a problem. But when they cheer the bad guy, you might have a star on your hands, and it's supposed to happen organically like that. But I got a little distracted. But New Japan,
you kind of get that though. My bad. You kind of get that in UFC though with like Colby Covington. They were gonna chop him on. They were about to put him on the chopping block, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna come through and just raise hell. And now everybody loves to hate the dude. Right?
There's a reason like why there's so much overlap between UFC and WWE, and they're trading stars and shit all the time.
Could you see a day where like UFC is kind of like there's like a wrestling organization that does fighting in this, you know what I mean? Like
you wonder how much their relationship is so tight and so like, I know Vince.
Maybe
McMahon
we got to do that. Maybe we got to make that happen.
Yeah, make a wrestling / MMA. I mean,
is that what New Japan is basically?
Well, I think the thing that kind of makes New Japan. So there's a term in wrestling, I believe, and I'm probably getting this wrong. My boy Hank is gonna kill me for this, but I think it's like called like stiffing or whatever, but like or strong style, and that's very popular in New Japan, and it's really like what it is like. I mean, for lack of a better word, like they just really hitting the fuck out of you. So it's like when you do a suplex or something, like you have to like, I know how to do it a certain way where I'm not gonna hurt you. You know how to like land so you don't fuck your spine up. But like when we do like a kick or a chop or something, the strong style, which again very popular in Japan, is like they really just blast each other. Like so when you see a kick and you're like, you see those big kind of fake open-handed punches in America.
Yeah.
They'll do some shit over there where like, nah, you just saw that dude get straight up roundhoused in the stomach and they didn't hold back. Like, and you just kind of got to take that shit. Like that's very popular in New Japan, and it just adds a level of like intensity, and that violence is like, whoa, like you like, hold on, you got to rewind. Like, wait, I thought it was supposed to be fake.
They do shows out here, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I think they were in San Jose recently.
Yeah, I think they were even up at like, do you remember the Cow Palace? I think they were at the Cow Palace, but I remember like wrestling shows at the Cow Palace back in the day.
One of the greatest days of my life.
You right?
To this day, No Way Out. I want to say 2004. Eddie Guerrero became the first Mexican American WWE champion in fucking Cow Palace, and you know the Mexican population we got in the Bay. So
I'm pretty sure I was there for that.
I was there. I remember that.
I'm almost certain that's what I was at.
It was wild. You can go back and watch the footage, and the crowd just popped. It was fucking crazy. Like, that was just nuts. Like, you know what I mean? Just to see like that shit happen. It was such an emotional moment, and I think that's a perfect reflection of like the shit that I'm talking about the Connection Wrestling fans. We watched this man struggle for years. We watched him deal with addiction. You know, R.I.P. To Eddie, one of the greatest to ever do it, and probably my all-time favorite. But like you build this loyalty, and it's like you care about the character, and that ends up crossing over and just caring about the person. So when they have that big breakthrough moment, it's like we all won.
You know, in sports, when you get that, like, when you know that certain team, it feels like it's the destiny, and it doesn't end that way, and then everybody kind of has that salty feeling, like,
all the time.
man, that ending sucked. You know what I mean? So it seems almost like the fans enjoy it because they know that this shit's gonna end up dope,
right? Or there's a possibility, but that's the thing, is you never really know, and that's like there's still just enough mystery to be like, you know, they build up this star, and you're like, oh, it's his time or her time, and then they lose, and you're like, fuck, but they got you, they bring your ass back next week because you're like, all right, well, like, let me see this rematch or whatever. So like, when it's done right, they definitely know how to like toy with your emotions.
Yeah, it's definitely like its own subculture. You know what I mean? Like that fan base is dedicated.
Rabid.
Yeah,
Rabid.
yeah.
Very opinionated.
Do you still watch it to this day?
Yeah. Not as much as I used to, because I kind of have to pop in and out. Again, just like the quality can be very inconsistent. There's actually a new company just came out, and I think a lot of us are very hopeful that this is going to be a little bit of a game changer, because we know WWE was probably at its best, you know, if the Attitude Era, the 90s, WWF. But a big reason of that is because they had competition. WCW was out. So they're like, so we got to make the most fire show we can, or we're going to lose in the ratings. So now we basically had Tony Khan, who's the son of Shahid Khan, who owns the Jaguars and like a couple of soccer teams. I think he's a billionaire. His son Tony Khan is like a diehard wrestling fan, so they just started this company called AEW. I think they air on like TNT or some shit. I sound like I'm a whole ass ad right now, but like they
at 7 p.m. promptly.
Right. I have no affiliation. I'm not paid for this, but if y'all want to send me a bag, you can
do that.
You know where to find me. But no, like they just started this company. It's wrestlers are actually running it. You know, people who Cody Rhodes is like a legacy. His granddad is, you know, his whole family line has been in the company forever. Dusty Rhodes' dad, his brother, you know, Dustin or Gold Dust. So they like, it's a whole family thing, and he understands the art and the business of it. So you got somebody like that working with deep pockets like Tony Khan has, and you know TNT, who used to air WCW. So clearly, like they give a shit about that. And now there's some competition where it's like, okay, WWE, you're not the only one on the block. Like, you know, there's some competition, and so far the product's been pretty good that they're putting out. So now it's like, okay, pressure's on you, WWE, like do something, you know. And I think the show NXT is the WWE show, and I think they're losing the ratings right now in comparison. They're both on like Wednesday night, and AEW is winning the ratings. So like, competition's good for everything, you know.
For sure, it's that way in MMA too. Like, you know, with Bellator coming up, and you got one championship from I think Singapore. You know, they feel in the pressure too. You know what I mean? They got to make sure that they you know what I mean. That's one thing, they don't always listen to the fans, but you know, it was a good thing they did with that Game Bread, that Masvidal and Diaz fight. For the time that we did get to see him fight, man, it was a dope fight. You know what I mean?
See, I don't know too much about MMA, but I know Bellator. Are they kind of on the rise a little bit?
Bellator,
you know,
definitely.
Like
I mean,
kid, but
yeah, exactly. It's almost like no cap to Bellator or nothing, but at this point, it's almost like they're kind of like the, you know what I mean, like the
bootleg.
Yeah, bootleg. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, but they still got some dope ass fighters like Rory McDonald's over there. You know what I mean. Yeah, man. Like, it definitely helps to make the UFC be on their toes, because they know, like, if we don't do this, our fans might go somewhere else.
Right.
Which I mean, it would be nice or well, I don't know if it'd be nice. Maybe they need that for like football or baseball to maybe spice up everything in sports.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, competition is good for everything, I think. So,
Yeah.
you don't want anybody to rest on their laurels too much. I feel like the major sports, I think, football, baseball, basketball, they kind of, they're each other's competition. That's especially when the seasons overlap.
Mm-hmm.
I think NFL is, we've been calling that the number one sport for however long, but I feel like NBA in our lifetime, I think is gonna pass it. I think it's gonna happen because NFL is just proven to be. I mean, I probably like the game more, but I don't think. I think as far as like understanding people and like, NFL's taken so many black eyes and just done so much fucked up shit over the years that like people's. People were a little more. This generation's a little more woke than the last one. What I mean? Like we actually give a shit. So you're starting to see, like a little bit of a shift, and people getting to have real personalities in the NBA and express themselves in a way that you don't get to see in the NFL.
100
it's rubbing off a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, so we're about to be pulling up here on an hour, but I wanted to ask you real quick, do you got any projects, anything coming out soon? Any shows, performances coming up soon?
Shows, I guess to be announced. It'll be on my Instagram. That's at JULESDORADO, Jules Dorado. Songs.
Is that an Instagram?
That's Instagram, yeah.
Cool.
But songs, yeah, man, I got a gang of shit. I got a video coming out shot by Hunter Bay called Best Me Style. It's a flip on a Sylvan LeCue joint called Best Me. So that'll be dropping sometime probably in December, if not November.
Okay.
Best Kept Secret featuring my man Ozer from the city. This dude is one of the like greatest spitters that just is out there, period. Like, and really on this whole West, I think everybody's sleeping on him, but I was lucky enough to get a feature from this man, and we went kind of crazy on that joint. So that's coming up soon. Nintendo featuring my homegirl Naki. Ooh, she got some crazy vocals. This is gonna be special. It's just, man, oh my God, I'm forgetting how many songs I got. I've been working all summer, so I wasn't out a lot this summer, but I put in so much work, and so the whole rest of this year and into 2019, it's gonna be a lot.
You planning on putting them out sporadically?
Oh yeah, all of them are singles. Yeah,
okay.
I'm just gonna keep hitting you with singles, and then my next project, Sonic Cultura. Entirely executive produced, if you will, by Khalil. My man's out of Berkeley. Big shouts to him. That'll be dropping sometime next year.
Okay. And then where can they check out your music, man?
Literally anywhere. If you look up Jules Dorado, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Napster,
LimeWire,
Media Fire, like I'm literally YouTube. I'm literally everywhere.
What is your YouTube channel? Do you have an official YouTube channel?
That's Jules Dorado.
Jules Dorado.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm lucky enough that my name is unique. That there's no other ones.
Yes.
If y'all see a bargain brand one come out though, like tap in with me. You know what I mean?
I do. I want to first off. I want to thank you, man, for coming all the way out, being on the show. We go way, way back. We didn't even get to talk about like fucking, us growing up or nothing. We'll go down. Yeah, we'll go talk all those stories later. Yeah, for sure. I loved having you on. This was dope, bro. This was definitely. I'm definitely gonna have you in here again. So thank you for coming through. And I wanted to let the fans know we got a special. A special. What should I call it? We got a special treat for you. We gonna put at the end of this. We got a.
Exclusive.
Your newest.
Exclusive.
That was the word I'm trying to get to.
Man, that's crazy. That was one of the songs I am coming out with real soon. And we're doing a video. We're working on the video treatment for it right now. The song is called Get Rich or Die Trying, but die is spelled DIY. The whole real point of this joint is just to be like, sometimes you got to be self-sufficient and just figure that shit out on your own.
100.
So that's
you see us.
That's kind of that's exactly what we're doing right here, right now on Talking Shift. So. We got this exclusive. You ain't heard this yet. Yeah, I don't know when it's gonna drop, but for now, this will be the only place you can hear it. So
we got that Talking Shift exclusive, man. Jules Dorado. I can't wait to have you on again, man. You were a great guest, man. It was definitely dope.
It's great to be here.
Hey, man.
Real organic, beautiful vibes.
And I wish you luck. Not that you need the look, man, but you keep that consistency, you keep that grind, bro. I see big things for you, brother.
Same to you, my guy.
One love. Talking Shift, GM. Hey, everybody, like, comment, subscribe, do the whole 9. You know what it is. Instagram at Talking_Shift, YouTube Talking Shift channel. We really need y'all to subscribe so we can get that 100 followers, so we can get our own URL. But anyways, that's all the little small detail writings. Here's that exclusive joint for you. Jules Dorado, get rich or die trying. DYE, talking shift, we out.
Kato on the track, nigga. Green Hornet Decado, swing for it, Conseco. Green eggs, no swine, I take mine with potatoes. Take time with the Play-Doh, build a world in my image. Business is getting started, the party ain't even finished. While they busting it down, I've been busting my ass. Ain't no time to double take, I take a puff and I pass. When the grass looking greener and my cash getting leaner, keep some gas in the beat, then now you know who gon' last. Boys, case closed, open shut, dough without the dough is nuts. High hopes, a tightrope, come tip on the toe with us. Meant to be like you when he was crushing on Moesha. And now the crowd around me like Bikino fought Moesha. That's my nigga, know you won that. Rap, I'm tryna run that. Life is 2K, take a L, we got to run back. Cause I ain't never had the fourth quarter, couldn't come back. Fall and get the leaving, that's why I'm never in season. My, oh my, I'm on. Swear I've been a vibe like my whole life. Everything is on game till the rent come through. Anything they wouldn't do, I would do for you. Ain't got to watch your step if you never take the chance. But everything you could be is everything I am. Tell me how you really feel, shit, what I really ain't. Can of worms opened up, candid when I spill the pain. Pennies off the penmanship, no pity did it off the strain. This little light of mine, reason I can stand the rain. Do as I say, though not as I do. I lose that cape the same second, I'm out of the booth. Shit, I'm out of the loop on most things, knotted in two with no strings. How did I do the rope swing? Out of the noose is no same. But don't hang with niggas you feel like you stuck with. Used to care what these people think, but nigga, fuck it. Look, I'm gon' do what I gotta do. Bottom line, just a line I drew for the eyes. I ain't doubting it, dotted line that I'm signing to. I don't slip on a pillar, I ain't feeling no pussy. I'ma keep it a millin', I ain't no killer, don't push me, that's on my mama though. I ain't on no vacay till my mama go. Fuck what they been saying, if it ain't include my name, you know it's Jules Dorado, baby. I'm on, swear I've been a vibe like my whole life. Everything is on game till the rent come through. Anything they wouldn't do, I would do for you. Ain't got to watch your step if you never take the chance. But everything you could be is everything I am.